Lance Hall here for Let's Discuss with Lance Hall. Happy to welcome Jacob, guitarist for DAD, to the program today. How you doing, Jacob?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm doing great, thanks.
New album out, A Prayer for the Loud, on AFM Records. I have heard a copy of it, Jacob. It is excellent.
Okay, great, thanks. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that.
Cool. I always like to start my interviews as if no one has I know the story behind some of this stuff, but I'm sort of approaching this as someone who doesn't. Say I've gone to the record store and I'm flipping through albums and I come across this group DAD. And I'm thinking, DAD, that's interesting. Where did they get that name from?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's it's a funny name for in the English language. It's kind of funny name for a rock band to be called DAD, as in that. But the story behind it is that we when we started back in the day in sort of like the post-punk area, the band was named Disneyland After Dark.
Right.
And so we thought that was pretty funny. And up until that, we signed with a worldwide record deal with Warner Bros. And they said that there's no way you could use the word Disneyland because of the copyrights.
Right.
So we had to do something, and that's why it's Disneyland. It's DAD, and you know everybody else can say Disneyland After Dark, but we just can't do that. So let's go ahead and do it.
They're a pretty big force to go up against.
Yes.
The next. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The next thing I see is the title of the album, A Prayer for the Loud, and I'm thinking, this is interesting. Where did this come from?
Yeah, where does that come from? Well, first I want to ask you, what do you picture when you hear that title of a rock album?
A Prayer for the Loud.
Mm-hmm.
I see sort of like a concert setting sort of cut in with a church setting sort of thing, like, you know, the stage is sort of the altar and the audience is the congregation, you know? That's sort of what I picture. That's a good question.
Cool. Yeah, well, that's cool, I think, but the title came from, it was a line in the song of the same name, and so we just thought that would be a cool title, because when we go to rock concerts, we kind of we're all in the same feeling, the same emotion, sort of, and it's not religion, but it's something that brings us together in that same groove, the same feeling.
Right.
And A Prayer for the Loud, it's just can we please let us have rock and roll, and let's be able to come together in the rock feeling, in the rock world, and bring people together in that positive vibe that it is to go to a rock concert.
Excellent. And then I look at the cover art, and that intrigues me as well.
Yeah. It's also a play on the whole religious concept, because especially in America you have these cults, you have these very hardcore religious movements, and that kind of takes away the freedom of people, and I think religion is a private matter, and I wish everybody happiness on earth, whatever they believe in. But some of these cults are really scary, I think.
Yeah.
So it's also a play on, don't get too fanatic now. I mean, it's still we're still individuals that should be able to make our own decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. This is the first DAD album in 8 years, but you did some touring in between then, and you really, if I read the notes right, you really spent the last 3 years being very meticulous with this album. You wanted to get back to the classic DAD sound, and you really wanted it to just get it totally in the pocket, I guess, so they say in musical terms.
Yes, yeah, exactly, and we still had a lot. We are touring every year. So we don't have that much time, but we had to in the times in between, we had to focus and really focus on having this DAD rock band sound that I think we have achieved, which was very important me to have this bass guitar drum vocals sound. It's just a band, 4 guys together in a room, but it had to have the same organic, groovy feeling, and it has to sound energetic and spontaneous at the same time. And that's something that, you know, it takes time to achieve that sound and get the groove right and pick out the right songs. And we actually started writing in 2015, and we did demo sessions whenever we could, and we had like 25 songs maybe on the demo stage, and we brought 14 songs to the studio, and 11 made it on the album. Yeah.
And you recorded this at Grape House Studios in Copenhagen, where you had recorded there before, and you had some. You work with Nick, and is it Rune?
Yeah.
Rune.
He's the engineer, Nick's the producer, and the studio is right in central Copenhagen. And I go there on my bicycle in 10 minutes. So it's instead of going somewhere fancy or travel around the world and record hi-hat in Dublin or whatever, it's we just thought that why not put all the energy into the album and don't have to so we don't have to deal with the hassle of traveling, hotels and all that. So, and I think it paid off.
Definitely. So when you recorded then, were you all together in the studio? I mean, I know nobody records in the same room anymore, but you must have all been in the same studio, as opposed to a lot of these albums where somebody's in Copenhagen, somebody's in Los Angeles, somebody's in Australia, and they're emailing tracks back and forth, you know?
Yeah, yes, yeah. But we're still a rock band, and the whole basic feeling of the tracks comes from us playing together in the same room, and also the course of the sound, the course of the songs and the album. It was kind of set when we did the demos, which we did the same way. We just went in and recorded it, and so we got the basic feeling in the track, and we just had to refine that for the final recording. So it's the basic feeling comes from the band playing together, and then you have overdubs and editing and all that afterwards. But the basic groove comes from us playing together.
Cool. And the fact that you guys have been together for so long, you've only had one lineup change in the history of the band, and that was back in 1999. You guys must practically know what the other is thinking. You must be able to almost sort of know what's going on.
Exactly, yeah. It's like a very old marriage. and some, exactly what's going. If we're out on tour and we are going to a restaurant and we have like 2 hours before the show, you know exactly what's going to happen, and that's just the way it is. You have to accept that.
Sure.
But you can also find us in it's been seen before that when we get to a hotel on tour and we go down to the restaurant, we sit we pick our corner. We don't sit at the same table. We sit at different tables in different corners of the restaurant.
Sure.
And it's not a problem. It's just like it's okay to sit by yourself and have your dinner because we're together all the time.
Right.
So it's fine.
Little separation every once in a while, you know. I want to ask about a few songs on the album. I took some notes on a couple of songs, but first I've got to tell you, I went back when I was researching for this interview and watched the video for Sleeping My Day Away, and I hadn't heard that song in quite a while. I had forgotten just how good a tune that is.
Thank you.
There's those songs you don't hear for so long, then you put them on, and it's like, damn, this is a great song.
Yeah.
Great song.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Well, that was
go ahead.
A very defining song for us.
Yeah.
My day away. Yeah.
First tune, of course, I watched was Burning Star. I watched the video for that. A lot of very peculiar guitars in that video.
Yeah.
In the video for that, are those all that you guys have, or were some of those props that came about for that video, or?
Stig, our bass player, he that's his thing to have his basses built in silly ways, and I mean he's always thinking of something new to come up with, and it's a big thing that people they wait for what she's gonna come up with next.
Yeah. Very cool.
So the latest thing is an iPhone bass, which has like a flat screen inside it.
Nice.
Yeah.
The Sky is Made of Blues, I found to be, my note here says, infectious and great solo. What's your approach when you do solos like that? Do you do them all in one take, or do you take pieces of different ones? Or
I usually start out by improvising, because I think that you should be able to improvise as a solo guitar player. Then, I think improvising is important, but I also I also want it to be melodic, something that people can remember. And I like people to be able to whistle the solos after they heard them. So sometimes I improvise a little, then I come up with a sort of a tune that I follow. Sometimes it's a one take, sometimes it's 100 takes, and also sometimes I can't really get it done, and sometimes I need to compose a solo. I've done that too.
Okay.
Sometimes when I think if a tune needs a more like a melody line, more than a solo kind of thing, then I try to make a melody. Yeah, and the sound is important too. I think the whole atmosphere also comes from the feeling and the sound. So I'm not a flashy guitar player in that sense. I think I like to create like a mood and a sound. More, I think.
Well, that was another thing I had for notes on your guitar playing. I love the way sometimes you play very sparse notes with a lot of breathing in between. And when someone does that, I always think of like Neil Young. Neil Young, I always thought could do more with one or two notes, than most guys could do with 100. It reminded me a lot of that. But other times, and I'm thinking of the song "Time Is a Train." That was heavy. That was a heavy, thick tone, almost grungy. So you've got great versatility there.
Yeah.
If I'm hearing it right.
That song just needed a really heavy rock solo.
Yeah.
And I think that fit right into there. But the song you mentioned, "The Sky's Made of Blues," that's a melodic, and it's kind of like a song where you're driving through the desert and just before the night comes, and sort of that's like I play the solo finger picking, so it's a little country style ish, very Americana.
Yeah,
I think that fit very well for that song.
Yeah, very well, very well. The next one that jumped out at me was "No Doubt About It." My note says rocker, straight up rocker. Can you tell me a little bit about "No Doubt About It"?
That actually, I recorded the guitars, the basic guitars. I recorded them 3 or 4 times, I think, because I needed them to be really big and raw and groovy, and I got it. I'm pretty satisfied with that at the end. Yeah. And it also needed a big heavy guitar solo too.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we had "A Drug for the Heart," which I loved. Nice acoustic. And did you guys pay attention to sequencing with everything? You came out of "No Doubt About It" into "A Drug for the Heart," and you kind of come out of all that heaviness and rockiness into this nice acoustic intro. It's almost a kind of like exhale, Was sequencing important to you guys on this album?
Yeah, it's always a challenge to make the right sequence on an album, and it's when you have songs that are that different sonically, then it's a challenge to make it fit together. And then the spaces between the songs, you can fill up around with that too. So if you go from a rocker to a slow song, then you can put a little more space in between. Then and So, but I think it turned out rather well.
It did.
The sequence, yeah.
The other thing I really liked with "A Drug for the Heart" was the lyrics. Now, does Jesper write all the lyrics, or does everyone sort of collaborate, or?
Well, the word is that we do everything together, but I can tell you a secret: we don't do that everything together. But I can tell you, I don't write lyrics, and it's mostly Jesper and Stig, and they sort of Jesper, he's the one who puts in the, I mean the to make the words fit in the melody, and
Sure.
Stig he just likes to write a lot of word synthesis on papers, so there's like a rough material to pick from,
Right.
and it's yeah.
Well, if you could pass it on to them, I really, that was probably my favorite track on the entire album. I love just the way everything fit, the way it fit on the album, and I love the lyrical content. I thought it was really, really cool. So.
Nice. I will. Yeah.
Now, I mean, I could ask you a question about every song, but I want to sort of jump back into a little bit of the band history. You started more or less on a temporary basis back in 1984 with the band, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then worked into a full-time gig.
Yeah. Yeah, but we were so young back then. I was 17 years old, and everything was temporary, and everything was we were making new bands every week just for the hell of it, and we were just like this bunch of friends playing in different bands and just having a good time with each other, and pretty soon I joined the band. We had a rehearsal Sunday night, and we played for the first time as 4-piece on Monday night. I mean, the day after.
Yeah.
And we wrote a new song on the Sunday, which we started the set with. And so it was like nothing was that serious back then, and it was just we were just having a good time. But the next time we played a gig, we sold a lot more tickets, and we thought, okay, we might want to stick with this.
Yeah.
And that was the end of that.
Now, you started basically on piano, though, when you were like 13, right? And then both you and Jesper were doing guitar lessons, but you took it a little more seriously? Yeah,
I sort of unconsciously started to develop an interest in playing a little more, and it just came. I just thought that anybody could do this, but I found out later that maybe it came a little more naturally to me than most people, and I improved pretty fast within the first couple of years.
Yeah.
And I just really got into it. I thought it was great playing guitar, and it's sort of like the first time I heard, the Ramones album, It's Alive.
Yeah.
The first time I heard that album, it just hit me like a lightning. I thought, I want that sound. And the first time I heard the first Van Halen album, it was like, can you play like that? I was completely amazed. I was blown away. And that was it for me. I mean, that was like a calling. So that was it.
Oh, definitely. That's very cool. I'm very jealous of anybody who has sort of, I guess you would call it a knack or a gift for playing a musical instrument, because I cannot play. The only thing I can play is CDs and records, and those I play very well, but very cool.
Okay, very good, yeah.
So the album's been out for a little bit now. Do you have touring plans?
Yeah. We are touring the festivals in Denmark and around Denmark right now. And by fall, we will go around Scandinavia that'll be in October. And November, December, we'll go around Europe, which will take us all the way up to Christmas.
Very cool. And then home with the families.
And then we are currently looking into going to the States in maybe March next year.
Okay, very cool. Any more videos in the works for any of these songs?
Yeah, we're going to do a video and a single release on Prayer for the Loud.
Nice.
Within 2-3 weeks, yeah.
Very cool.
So we sure hope you'll play that one.
I will play it. Jacob, I always like to end my interviews with I call them my silly questions. These are questions I hope you've never even been asked before. Sound good?
Okay, yeah, that's good.
If you could blink and appear anywhere in the world, where would it be?
If I can come again?
If you could blink and be transported anywhere in the world, where in the world would you like to go to?
Okay. Okay. I would like to go to the ocean just south of South Africa in a diver suit, diving next to a whale.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Favorite toy growing up as a child?
Lego.
Legos?
Yeah. All kinds of Lego, yeah.
Nice.
It's good for kids. Yeah, yeah.
Late at night and you're hungry, what are you going to grab for a midnight snack?
I always make pasta alla arrabbiata,
Okay.
which is like with pasta with the hot tomato sauce.
Okay. Very cool.
Really, really spicy. Yeah.
Nice. First car you bought with your own money?
A Citroen 2CV.
Nice.
It's a car you don't even have in America. I never had it in America. But you should look it up. It's a very beautiful car. It's made of, it's the most unsafe car ever. And it's a 2-cylinder air-cooled engine with only 30 horsepower. It's a terrible car, but it's very beautiful. Citroen 2CV, yeah.
Nice. Last one, and this is the one we generally have the most fun with. If they were to make a movie of your life, what actor would you have play you in the movie? And it's your life, your movie, you can pick anybody.
Okay. It should be, what's his name? West Wing? The guy who plays Josh, what's his name?
Oh, I know the show, I can't think of it either. We'll have to look it up.
Yeah, he looks like me.
Okay, we'll check it out. We'll just say Josh on West Wing, and that'll be close enough. Everybody can look it up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jacob, I thank you very, very much for taking the time. Once again, we've been chatting with Jacob, guitarist for DAD, their new album, A Prayer for the Loud, out now on AFM Records. I want to direct every people, www.d-a-d.dk is the website for the band. Very cool stuff. You got a ton of stuff on there that was really great.
Cool, yeah.
And check that out and buy the album, and hopefully we see you on tour.
Mm-hmm. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having us.
Take care, Jacob.
I'll talk to you soon. Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.